We have reached the end of Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, and holy shit, what a game. I didn't go into this game with any expectations, and it was literally because the game was ultimately designed as a DLC. It wasn't supposed to be that game that came out and was a functioning full release game. It was actually designed as an added DLC bonus for the original Spider-Man game, which was why there was a lot of tie-ins to Miles Morales and all that stuff that we saw at various points throughout the game. Now, the beauty of this is that this game takes place in the same obvious universe, same everything that the initial Spider-Man took place in, but the ultimate beauty of that is it was set almost a year and a half, almost a year in advance, I think it was, is what they said at the very beginning, which made the change and the fact that this was another game make sense. Very similar to how I did with regular Spider-Man, I'm going to do a pros and cons list of this game, which actually has a little more of a funny meaning behind it now after playing this one and hearing Grinky, or what the fuck ever his name was, Spider-Man's sidekick guy, talk about wanting to do a pros and cons list all the time. So that was kind of cool. But we're going to do pros and cons of this game, and I'm actually going to do pros first instead of cons like I did with the initial Spider-Man game. And that's strictly because, well, the pros list and the cons list are both kind of equally weighted in this one. So first things first, this game is immaculately beautiful. They did a really good job with the environment, with the scenery around New York, about it being Christmas time. They were able to really do a lot with that in the way that the environment played out and really looked, especially for it being a PS5 game. The other thing that they did really well that I thought was really intuitive, considering they were really designed for the 5, is the fact that they used the adaptive triggers on the PS5 DualShock controller. As of yet, this is the only game I've played that they did that. So that was a pretty cool added thing. It's not a big touch in this game, but it's definitely a added bonus that you don't expect in the very beginning. So that's kind of a neat little thing. Everything in the game that you did, from the bases to the activities, wasn't overly unnecessary. And one of the other things that I really want to touch on that they did in this game, and I hope they do in Spider-Man 2, is they did away with all the different kinds of tokens and essentially gave you activity tokens and tech parts. So there was two things. One you had to look for in the tech parts, and then one you had to go basically farm out via a side activity and stuff, which is the activity token. So no matter what you did, you always got something to progress your unlockables, which was definitely kind of a neat upgrade that they didn't necessarily do in the first one. But they learned from it and they improved on it, which is all you can really ask for. So that was definitely nice. The story that they added for this game was really good. I really expected a little more in the way of tie-in, I guess, but the fact that they gave Miles Morales his own villains to fight in the underground and his own adversaries that really didn't touch on the original Spider-Man stuff was actually really nice. It was a very, for as short as it was, which we'll get into that in a little bit, it did well establishing bad guys and making you want to basically be the good guy in Spider-Man, which is not something that a lot of games can pull off all the time. The other pro, which is the one big tie-in for the original Spider-Man game, and if you haven't watched the final episode of the Let's Play yet, I recommend you do that. Otherwise, there is a spoiler here. So just be advised, I'll give you just a second if you want to drop away from this particular spoiler. Wait for it. Hold on. I'm going to wait just in case somebody wants to bail. Okay. So now that they may or may not be gone, there is a scene in the post-credits of the game that is very cool because it basically enables everybody to see that the Green Goblin is definitely coming to Spider-Man 2, which we'll do a full trailer breakdown at some point because Spider-Man 2, a trailer has leaked and I'll do trailer breakdowns of the various stuff that they've done. But right now, Spider-Man 2 has been basically given Venom. That much has been expressed, but the post-credit scene kind of, ignites that, added that we're gonna get the Green Goblin potentially being Harry Osborn. So that was actually real fucking cool. They tied that story up, and I'm super happy about it. And now I just want to play Spider-Man 2. So now those are your pros, and like I said, I think the game did a lot right. I think they did a lot of improving over the first game, even though this was a shorter game, but they did a lot of improving. So let's talk what the cons of this game were. And you've heard me mention it twice, so we'll start with this one. This game was short. It was very short. I did finish it in 8-hour-long sessions. The only real thing I did outside of the initial plays that you saw was knocking out some bases and some side stuff that wasn't necessary to the main story. And that took me probably about 3.5 hours, give or take. That's the biggest thing. Now, again, expectations weren't super high because of the stuff that I had heard, but I wasn't sure what they would do, and while it was good, it just left me wanting a little more. So maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but to me, the fact that it's shorter is not great. Just a personal pet peeve, if it were. The other big thing for me is the fact that the side activities, the bases were essentially the exact same, while the other side quests were essentially the exact same as things you had already done in Spider-Man 1. So the fact that it was almost an exact carbon copy in that realm kind of sucked. But I get it, don't fix what's not broken. And they at least gave it a reason to exist, so I give it that. So that's another one. The other big one is in the first Spider-Man, the initial Spider-Man game. The side quests were really good, like really deep, fleshed out the villains, everything. In this one, it did feel kind of like the side quests were rushed. And that really kind of saddened me because I was really looking forward to the main quest lines for this game. And or not the main quest lines, but the side quest lines. I was really excited about the side quest lines for this game, and they were really, really short. Not only short, they felt rushed. You started with 2, and it's almost like the 2 of them were supposed to become 1, and you just ended up with 1 story that was, while it was all right, it also left you wanting a little more. And it felt like they had rushed that side quest just a little too much. That's just, those are my cons, as it were, for the Spider-Man game. Now, if we're gonna talk what the final thoughts are of the game itself, let's honestly sit down and we'll break this down from an honest-to-God perspective. The game acts as a great Spider-Man 1.5. It really does. It gives you miles for them to use in the next story. It really fleshes out the world of the Insomniac Spider-Verse. So all of these things are great things. So it acts as a great 1.5 Spider-Man game. That I will give it. The story really tied together everything for the Spider-Man 1, tied up a few loose ends with him and Mary Jane, and then also gave Miles a good chance to shine. All of those things are positive, for sure. And so those are the good things. And like I said, at the end of the day, the game was really good. But this is where I'm going to go ahead and probably stir up a little controversy. I would only really think this game deserves an 8 out of 10. And the only reason I say that is because of it was shorter. The carbon copy, side missions, not bad. But when you have fans that are already used to a Spider-Man experience as Spider-Man 1 was, you're gonna get some people upset about the way this one was handled in that instance. So for those reasons, 8 out of 10. And if we're gonna give a value, this is the first time I've done this one in a little while, but it's an honest point. Here's a fact. This game is great. It really is good. Is it worth $60, $70, whatever the price tag is for a PS5 game? Hell no. The first game, I still thought was worth full price. Whatever full price was for that particular game. This game, not so much. I hate to be that guy, but it's a fact. This game, I'd give you maybe $40 for. Don't go out dropping $70 for this game if it's still a thing that you could spend $70 for. That's where we leave Spider-Man Miles Morales. Tomorrow, we will be back with a 2021 review and 2022 goals list right about this time. So the 2021 goal, or 2021 in review, 2022 goals. Saturday, we'll be back with some more Kingdoms of Amalur. All of that is coming down the pipe, as well as we are going to start our next Let's Play game, which at time of recording, we don't know what that is yet. I'm leaning toward, I have an idea, but I'm not going to divulge that in case I am wrong. So, as of right now, we're going to say that the next Let's Play will be a surprise. Stay tuned to Facebook and Twitter for that one. And yeah, I think that'll about do it for me. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching this Let's Play. It has been a blast. I am the Offensive Madman, reminding you once again that if words offend you, you can fuck off.